Big week this week with the upfronts.
Yes.
We had the new fronts that just finished up, and what are some of your thoughts about sort of the mix of video and television and the appeal to advertisers?
Well, the appeal to advertisers is relatively clear. I think this year feels like the return of TV. TV's always been there. You know, digital's always kind of competed against it. The new fronts compete against the upfronts in many ways. But in a lot of the presentations, the networks are showing the power of TV in driving brand awareness. And I think that's been very critical. And they've also started to do things like less advertising in the shows themselves, some up to 10 minutes less of advertising. So it's really a big push to get greater brand awareness versus before. I think the whole growth of digital content has been phenomenally interesting, very productive, great place for brands to be, but depending on how they use it. When you are now in the upfront season and you're going to a lot of these presentations, it's pretty clear the power of TV. And in some ways, it's almost an indictment on the brand building power of digital. There's been no question that from a direct response perspective, lower funnel perspective, that digital has been just kind of custom made for that type of space. It's the brand building stuff I think that gets a little bit more interesting and less clear on digital's role there. And I think some of that's coming out in a lot of the presentations that I've been seeing.
And what about some of the tools that came out of digital, the well, retargeting, but sort of understanding and delivering programmatically video in a kind of granular way? We hear a lot about addressable TV. We hear about data driving TV delivery. They're talking about that, NBC and others are talking about it. What is the promise of what you guys, I say you guys, created in the digital side becoming tools for effective TV targeting?
Well, I think digital kind of showed what was possible, and TV always felt like they had to wait. They had to wait for measurement to catch up with them, whether that was Nielsen, ComScore, whatever it might be. Now that a lot of those measurement companies are working together, I think maybe they're not even going fast enough. NBC pitched the other day the notion that they want to do this on their own. They don't want to wait for the big measurement companies to try to figure this out. They feel they can help you target the right audience at the right time, and that they know where those audiences are and in what shows they're watching. So I think there's some interesting plays going on between what the networks now believe they can do from a targeting perspective, a data and a targeting perspective, that they learned from digital channels and brought into their own. But still there isn't a industry-wide measurement platform that's giving anybody a lot of confidence around multi-screen measurement. And I think multi-screen power. You know, like I think we all think we're great multitaskers, but in the end, maybe we're not. You know, maybe when we watch a video and it's surrounded by other things, our eyes are drifting, and because our eyes are drifting, we're not paying as much attention to that video. We thought we were, but maybe we aren't, because the awareness of seeing video online and driving brand is not there.
So, Colin, congratulations on the job at Havas, and I know it's early on. You have been in this media agency business for a while, and you've seen a lot of transitions. What do you think the value that the media agency brings? It's really changing, isn't it? And there's different flavors, and Havas has been doing pretty well in the pitch-palooza business and so on, but where do you see the value, and how would you like to see Havas, or perhaps media, the role of the media agency, evolve? And I know we're going to be talking about that at Cannes. You with everyone is a big part of the conversation, but where do you see things going?
Well, honestly, the reason I went to Havas is because I think I see where things are going is where they are. The last 3 years, they have won a global client every 3 months. It's pretty phenomenal what they're doing, and I think the reason it's so phenomenal is because they're bringing creative and media back together. And they've done across the world the hard yards of organizing together. So media in New York is in the same place as creative in New York, the same in Boston, the same in Chicago, the same everywhere around the world. I've been at digital-only companies, which I think provide an incredible value to clients. But at some point, we kept running into a roadblock in which we didn't have the money to amplify the really interesting ideas that we thought were appropriate for the brand. I wanted to go to a media agency then. And when I got to the media agency, I thought this is it, because now you have the leverage of the dollars and you can work with clients to be much more adaptive and agile in how they spend their money. But in the end, that's not the answer either. I think the answer is connecting the creative and the media together as two equals and going to the market in that way. And that's what Havas has been doing. So I'm very much looking forward to working with them to really drive that agenda and to reach that ambition. I think Kion is turning very much into as much a media event as it is a creative event. I think for many ways people are starting to really come to grips with the fact that these two things need to be together again, somehow, some way. Havas is doing it through the villages, but I think everybody is struggling with what's their take on that. From a kind of an idea perspective, I think people are looking to see where data really is helping and where it's just getting in the way. So for me, it's very much how does data drive insights, but really how do the insights drive actions and actions in the marketplace. So I think we'll see a lot of things around that area. I think a lot of the data and digital companies will be making some announcements about where they want to play in that ecosystem to help brands really break through.
Cool. And on the digital side, is there anything you're particularly jazzed about these days? You know, activations that either you're doing, you're seeing, platforms that are exciting to you?
Yeah, there's the one thing that I think is very interesting is, you know, that they used to say that the medium is the message. I really believe that's coming back in a way. If you're on Snapchat, you're doing interesting things on Snapchat, because you're there and you're talking to that audience, that brand ends up getting kind of a buzz and is connecting with people in kind of new and different ways. Versus if you're on other platforms that people think are like, oh, that's not necessarily new or interesting or sexy. It has a lot to do with what people think about your brand. So I think the platform plays are actually quite interesting.